Hey everyone, it's Frankie-Lou. I'm coming to you today from the kitchen at the Grow Together homestead where I am processing some of my marvelous rhubarb. I have a whole lot of rhubarb plants and I do love this stuff. Use it in a ton of different things and it's one of my favorite things to can as well. So today I'm going to show you one of my basic recipes. This is something that I prepare to use as a base for lots of different sauces and things throughout the year. It's basically all I'm doing is I'm creating a sweet and sour rhubarb pulp, which I can then open up a can, put into all sorts of different things to pump up that flavor. I sort of think of it as my personal replacement for tamarind pulp. I can't grow tamarind, but I can grow rhubarb. I keep a lot of cans of this down in my pantry and I use it throughout the year for sweet and sour sauces and stews, as a dipping sauce, all sorts of things. I just add a little bit of whatever spice or whatever flavor component I'm looking to amp up, but this is the basic rhubarb sweet and sour pulp. Okay, that I'm gonna make. As you can see, oh, I got a lot of rhubarb. Like, look at this stuff. Okay, and this is like my 8th harvest, and the plants don't even look like they've been touched so far. So I do a lot of rhubarb processing. So first up, what I'm gonna do is try to get, I think I probably easily have 4 pounds here. I'm gonna cut and trim up 4 pounds of rhubarb so that I can use it in this very simple recipe that I'm going to show you here now. So let me just get some of this prepared here. As I said in some of my earlier videos, it's a good idea to harvest your rhubarb first thing in the morning. That's when it's at its prime, it's its juiciest, okay? So you'll want to do that. You'll want to go out and gather it first thing in the morning, especially if you've had a rainfall the night before, which we did last night. So this stuff is fantastic today and it's going to make a wonderful, wonderful recipe here. All right, you want to make sure you're removing every little bit of the leaf because that part is toxic. Rhubarb does actually contain quite a bit of oxalic acid, even in the stalks. So if you have somebody in your family who has a tendency towards, say, kidney stones, they probably shouldn't be partaking of this, okay? But for the average person, rhubarb is a nice, healthy thing they can be eating, okay? Do check though, make sure that you don't have any conditions, because what I'm creating here is quite a concentrated rhubarb recipe. And if you do have a condition like kidney stones, it's not something you want to be eating. All right, look at this thickness. This is a huge stalk. I really love the rhubarb even for building my compost. It's a really great component to add to the compost when I need to add greens. I just shred those leaves up a bit. Let's see here. Oh. All right, I'm looking for 4 pounds. And it looks like I easily have that here today. Okay, got a little extra. I'll use that for something else. No worries, it's gonna get used up. And I have 4 pounds of stalks. I'm gonna wash and chop these up now. I'm looking for something that's gonna actually break down. So rhubarb is really good at breaking down into a pulp. And I'm gonna use it on a slow cooker method for this. You could choose to do this on the stove and there's no problem with that. But I also like having things that I can set, because I got a lot going on here. It's nice having something I can set at night just before I go to bed, wake up in the morning and I just process it, right? So, but the other thing I really enjoy about the slow cooker is I like that slow cooking caramelization flavor that I get. Just adds a little extra richness to this beautiful product. So that's another reason I like to use that slow cooker. So I'm just gonna wash these and chop them now. So you don't have to be really precise about this. They don't all have to be the same size. You just wanna make sure that you got it so that it will break down. I'm gonna pop it as I go into the crock pot. I'm also going to be doing more things with this, all this rhubarb over the next week or so. Well, it's still nice. I'm making more rhubarb red pepper jelly, and there's a recipe for that in the channel if you're interested. I'm going to be drying some for teas. I'm going to be making some more rhubarb liqueur. We use a lot of it around here. But why wouldn't we, right? It grows so well and it's a beautiful plant. I also make a great pectin-free, low sugar jam recipe, and I tend to use a lot of rhubarb in that with berries and other fruit. It works really well in that recipe, which is also in the playlist if you're interested. But this recipe is pretty much as simple as it gets, okay? I use a lot of this throughout the year. I like to use my smoker a lot during the summer and, well, all year round. And I like to make sauces. If I'm making a pulled pork, and this pulp that I'm creating here is a really nice base to a barbecue sauce. All right, so that's 4 pounds chopped up, placed into the crock pot. Oh, it's so warm in here because I've got the canner going. I make sure before I do any of my processing to have all my cans are in the oven keeping warm after being sterilized. I've got my canner on low ready to go there. All my equipment is sterilized. I want to make sure that I'm not going to make my family sick with this, okay? So it is hot work though, and I usually do a lot of it out in the outdoor kitchen for that reason. But today we're going to quickly get this done in here. All right, so 4 pounds. There we go. Okay, so now for the other ingredients. For each pound of rhubarb that you use, you're going to put in 1 cup of brown sugar, okay? I like to use the brown sugar because I like that rich caramelized flavor. You don't have to use the brown sugar if you don't like to. I just find I get a nicer product if I do. So I'm going to put... And this isn't an exact science, people. If you want to use more or less sugar, rhubarb has a nice acidity to it, so it actually is one of the safer things to can. It's quite acidic compared to a lot of other fruit and veg. So it's one of those things I also enjoy canning because it's safer than some things. So I've got 4 cups of sugar in there because it's 4 pounds of fruit. And now for a little added extra zing and also a little added extra safety, I'm going to put in 1/4 of raw apple cider vinegar for each pound of fruit. So 1 cup because it's 4 pounds. All right. See, I told you, it's not hard at all. Now, we're going to mix this up, make sure it's all incorporated. It's going to start releasing juices right away, like even before we put it on the heat. It's amazing how juicy rhubarb is. And delicious, right? So this is one way of preserving that. You really do maintain that flavor, okay? Pure rhubarb flavor. So I'm going to put this over in the crock pot and let it go overnight. Okay, so I've got that on the low setting. I usually let it go anywhere between 8 and 12 hours. It's going to do its thing. It's going to be perfect. And obviously, I'm not going to make you guys wait to see it. I did set up a batch last night. I just took this out of the crock pot. And I'm just going to finish preparing that so you can see the rest of the canning process. See, as you can see, it's got a nice saucy texture. If you wanted to, I like to create a true pulp with it. I don't want it to be chunky for this because I am using it in more as a sauce base. So I like to use my immersion blender on this. But if you like it more like a stewed and you want to keep a little bit more of the texture, go ahead and do that. You don't have to do this step. I just do because I know that I'm going to be mostly using it in sauces. If after this step you find that it isn't as thick as you'd like it, go ahead and pop it on the oven for a little bit and boil it down. But this is perfect for what I'm looking for. I want sort of a nice pulpy, saucy texture, and this is perfect. So I'm just going to can this up now. Okay, so all of this is hot, straight out of the oven and sterilized. I probably need this. Don't want to burn myself in front of y'all here. Including my nice canning funnel. And the ladle is still hot. And my, my sauce here is nice and warm too. I'm going to put it up there so it's about 1/4 inch from the lid. Now if you added a little bit of ginger and Chinese 5 spice to this, that would be a delightful sweet and sour sauce. Making more than I thought. That's always a nice surprise. So I made this with 3 pounds last night and it looks like I'm getting 9 jars. So I'll probably need 12 jars for this sauce tomorrow. Looks like I get 3 nice little jars from each pound. I'm now going to use a sterilized chopstick to make sure I remove any extra bubbles by stirring this up. I'm going to use a hot paper towel that's been dipped in the boiling water over there to wipe all the rims. I'm going to place the hot, clean lids on top of each jar. Put each lid in to finger tighten. I don't want to over tighten it. I just want it to be finger tightened. They're still pretty hot. Angus says my hands are made of asbestos. I think it's all the calluses from working in the garden, baby. And now I'm going to pop all these into my canner and I'm going to process them on a high rolling boil water bath for 20 minutes. I'm at a high elevation here just outside of Calgary. Most people, standard elevation could probably get away with 15 minutes, but I'm going to do 20. Okay, so I'm going to get that going now, and I hope you'll try this. It's one of my favorites. I make tons of this every year, and we run out every year because it's something we use a lot of. Sometimes the simple stuff is the best, right? As always, please do subscribe if you're interested in seeing some of the other recipes and some of the stuff that's going on with the animals and our camping adventures. And also, as always, I hope you'll take this chance to grow together today. Have a good one.